Coming up on this episode of the Spiro Podcast.
If you ever look to say, hey, I'm at the bottom of the mountain, how do I get to the top? And you're like, how do I jump to the top? You're not going to jump to the top. You might have periods in your life where you leap, but most of your life is going to be one foot in front of the other.
Welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. With your hosts, Todd Kivimaki and Craig Magrum.
Hi, and welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate, photography, and videography business. Spiro, it's a software platform. It's designed to help you really manage your day-to-day real estate media business and ultimately help it grow and scale as well. Welcome to a new episode. I'm your host, Craig Magrum. Thanks for all of you that had some patience with us. We did not have an episode last week. It is spring market, and Todd, it has gone absolutely bonkers, at least in our markets.
Sure has. It sure has, yeah. We broke a record this month at WOW, so our largest month ever. So I was excited about that. Craig, you had some nice records that you broke in your area.
Yeah. It was amazing. Our market, not known for really a lot of high-end listings, and we had four $1 million or more properties in the space of 3 weeks that we shot. And
there's only 6 million plus houses in your whole area, Craig. So shooting, no, I'm just kidding. Just
a few more than that, but
I mean, we're lower in Lima. We're lower in the Toledo, so I'm not like making fun of you. I'm making fun of me at the same time. So
yeah. And let me introduce Todd Kivimaki, Spiro founder and owner, co-host of the podcast. Good to be back,
Thank you,
Todd.
Craig. You know, I just butt in. Thank you all. I just make room for myself. But it's great to be here. And I do want to say that if you are like, hey, I didn't have my best month ever last month, that's okay. I really caution saying numbers from WOW and what we do. Y'all need to remember, I've done this for 21 years and I have a fabulous team around me. I have screwed so many things up over the years, and I try to take screw ups or gaps, like I like to call them, as opportunities to figure out what went wrong and learn from it. And I've tried to nurture that culture around here, that we look at mistakes as a good thing and we learn from it, we grow. So if you didn't have your best month ever, there was plenty of times where I didn't have my best month ever. And I was listening or I read online of someone having this fantastic thing. I think the natural thing to do is to want to beat yourself up a bit. So please do not do that. Please know that you are building something, and there was plenty of bad things that happened to us over this last month. Okay. It's a mindset shift, and it's an idea that you're going to push through. I call it my dumb stupidity. Again, I started a real estate video business, video only, back in 2004, when you couldn't even stream video on the internet. It was too slow. So that was a really dumb thing to do, but I had this just intuition. I had this drive that I was going to make it work. So please do not be like, well, WOW had their best month, and they probably shot more houses in 1 month than I do in a year. But it took me 21 years to get here. So please don't take it with a grain of salt. Look in your business. The guests we have on today is going to share some fabulous things with you all. I'm super excited about that. I think he's going to connect with you at a different level that I think will get you asking some good questions about your own business. So that was my long-winded way to say, please, I'm not trying to pressure you to think that you're not worthy, you're not doing well. You are. You're an overachiever because you started your own business, and it's tough. It's tough to do hard things.
Yep. Yeah. Don't be discouraged. I had a challenging last year where there were months I was not hitting my goals. There were months I exceeded goals, and I never beat myself up emotionally, Todd. I just push forward.
Yeah, Craig, you sure do. Yeah, you
never beat myself up.
Yeah.
I swear our team has more grace for me than I have for myself. But it's good to have people around you that will encourage you and speak life into you and help you get beyond beating yourself up. So let us be that voice for you this week. All right. So Todd, we do have a guest this week, and I'm really excited to talk to him. Our first international guest. on the podcast, and we'll introduce him in just a minute and his business. But before we do that, Spiro Updates, what do we have going on?
Yeah, literally give me a minute because I want to save time for our guest. So Cycle 11 is going to launch May 20th. That's a Tuesday. And you will get a brand new marketing kit. It's going to do everything you wanted to do. I won't spend time on it now. We've talked about this a lot, and we've heard you. The changes are coming, the new updates coming. Property website analytics, a beautiful report that your agents can email their homeowners. We're hoping to squeeze in a new property website template, and then subsequent and future releases. There's some other goodies coming as well, but the big one's the marketing content. So excited about that, and we're going to get it into your hands. It's going to be flat media, but also MP4s. So taking real type of, a real orientation and using photos to animate text and things like that. So that is all coming. Excited about that. And that will be a great way for you to that's a reason for you to call your clients. Hey, did you know that we have a new marketing content where you can do X, Y, and Z? It's a reason to reach out. Sometimes you need a reason to reach out because you just are like, hey, I talk to many of you, and it's like, hey, you need to build relationships with your clients. It's like, okay, well, I don't like the idea of calling, but I will call. And then it's like, well, what the heck do I say? So that's kind of a gimme, that's a layup. And I have a lot of other ideas for reasons you could reach out. Promotions. We're doing a promotion. Craig, we talked about this at morning meeting today. We're doing $30 off a drone. That's a reason to call your clients. So all that and more is coming, and a few other goodies that I didn't mention on there. I did a Facebook Live last night. I do tech talks on Thursdays. So it would be this Thursday if you're listening to it, the date of this podcast launch. So it's May 8th. I have another tech talk. I go much more into detail there, and you can ask me whatever questions you want, but you can find that on the Spiro Super User Facebook group.
Perfect. Awesome.
59 seconds, Craig.
You are a pro. You are a pro. All right. Well, we're just going to dive into it. For those of you that have watched or listened for any amount of time, you know that we have certain episodes that we call our Owner Spotlight series. And the whole idea of the Spiro podcast is really to talk about the business of real estate media. We've said this a bazillion times. There's a ton of great resources on the creative side of what we do as photographers and videographers. But we wanted to launch a podcast that talked about the business and help you build a strong business, not just from our viewpoint in our background of Wow Video Tours being around for 20 years, but also to hear other real estate media owners, company owners' stories and learn from them. This is a community, so we want to learn from each other. So I'm really excited this week to introduce and welcome to the podcast Simon Caya of Caya Media. Is it Caya or Caya? Simon?
Caya. Yeah.
Caya.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's French a little bit, so.
Right. From Quebec, Canada, our first international guest. Simon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, so happy to be here. I was watching a couple episodes in the last year, and just being here is humbling to me, and thank you so much.
We're just a couple of guys in the cornfields in Northwest Ohio, right, Todd?
We sure are, yeah. We are, yeah.
Yeah, so excited. Simon, thanks for making the time. Simon shared with me, this was kind of we've been trying to schedule a time, and we had to reschedule a couple of times. And then we had an opening the day before, because of a part of my fault, the day before recording. And so I reached back out to Simon and said, I know this is last minute. Can you come on the podcast? If not, totally understand. He's like, this works out perfect. I had a cancellation. So this was meant to be, Simon.
Exactly. So here the weather is pretty crazy. It changes a lot, and we have super harsh winters and super hot summers. So we're just in between right now. And last Sunday it was snowing, and 2 days ago was like 27 degrees Celsius.
Oh man!
So the range is extreme. And just today was actually raining when it said a week ago that it was going to be a sunny day. So it was just a perfect timing.
Yeah. The joys of trying to do real estate media in those kind of weather conditions, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Simon, we have a ton of topics, and you have fabulous things that we talked about in the pre-show. But I think to start off, could you just give us a background? I think that will help bring everybody up to speed. How long have you been doing it? What got you into it? About what volume are you doing? Just give us a little insight into your company if you can.
Sure. So I'm about an hour from Montreal, more in the countryside, and it's a city called Drummondville. And so I started out my business there. Just to give you more of a background, I went to university in marketing and sales. So I started out as I was working in a marketing agency, and just after school, and the 9 to 5 was just getting to me. I had to punch in all my hours, what I was doing, and it was just stopping me from being focused on something. And I just really wanted to start my own thing. And so I just went to my boss and I told him, I don't know where I'm going right now, but I know this is not my place. And I'm just going to cut it right here, and I'll give you my 2 weeks. And, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm just burning the ships, as many say.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and so, when you're getting desperate like that, sometimes you get creative. And so that's what I had to do to get out of there. So, I knew I had a passion for photography, and I really wanted to become a real estate investor.
Okay.
And I knew I had a pretty good marketing background as well. So I was like, maybe I can merge all of those and try to find something in real estate photography. Yes. And so I just reached out to an agency that is right around the corner here. And they just said, yeah, sure, why not? We're going to try you out. And they actually gave me a contract that I signed that, we're going to talk about this. And I had an exclusivity contract with them. And, there were maybe 10 realtors in that team. So they had a fairly good volume. But, a couple of months in, when the market went a little bit down, I was just stuck in that contract. I couldn't help anyone else. And, I had to talk to the owner of that agency and tell him that I just had to break it there and just part our ways, because they really wanted to keep all their photographers in-house. And so we just parted there, and I started out my own thing. And, I had my portfolio, and I built my website, my Facebook, and then just the branding altogether was making me more appealing, to other realtors. And I had a couple calls and just went from there. So actually a pretty intense story when I just started out. I lost all my clients at that moment. And so I went to Montreal to do a photo shoot for a house. And when I got there, I just stopped at a restaurant to eat. When I got outside, my car got broken into. And
no,
they broke my my door, my the window.
Your gear was gone.
All my gear, and I had everything. My computer, my hard drives, drone,
my gosh,
all this stuff that I had.
Simon.
So that was getting to the rock bottom, I could say. I actually went to 2 restaurants and gave my job application to go back to working somewhere, because I just couldn't pay my rent.
Wow.
But I hired a coach back then. He was a friend of mine, and he just helped me out. And he was like, dude, you got to promise yourself that you're not ever going back to working for someone else. I know you got it inside of you, and you got your good vision and your good mission. So just go for it, and it's going to work out. So that's what I did, and the rest is history.
So after all of that, Simon, I mean, you're at rock bottom. You've got nothing. So you built, after having your gear stolen and barely being able to pay rent. So how do you build from there? I mean, did you wait tables? What did you do to get back going to then really launch your business?
So the only portfolio I had left was on my Facebook page, my Instagram, and on my website. Stuff that I, had downloaded there. Now I got the Dropbox, and everything is in the cloud. So we're good with that. And I also did not have business insurance at that point because I was just starting out, and rookie mistakes.
Sure.
And so I made somebody that is close to me lend me money to buy a new camera, and out of such a sweetheart, and I just went and bought a new camera, new gear, and just went 12 hours a day, just client acquisition. I was going to every realtor office, calling every realtor that I had in my city, and I just went crazy on it. And 3 months out after that, I was booked out, and everything was good.
Good for you.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that, Simon. Some things that I'm getting from your story is one, you're a very decisive decision maker, and I can actually tend to be the opposite. And it's something that I have to consciously get myself out of, because I love to look for options. I love the what if game. And you had a couple points in your story where you're like, you're working a 9 to 5 and you just have this feeling inside of you that it's not right. And that to get beyond that, you just have to make the decision. And that gets you further. It's kind of like, I'll give you an analogy. So kind of the same idea back when back in school when I was playing basketball. And I'm a large human being, y'all. I think many of you know that. So like for me to run around, we would run, in conditioning, we'd run a mile or two, and I would run it and I'd start to slow down. And there was another individual on the team that just would sprint through it. I'm like, why did you sprint? Like, what's up with that? And he's just like, I just wanted to get it done. It was too hard. Like, I figured I'd just go through. And I'm like, that is such an incredible ability to have, to want to go into pain. And that's what you have possessed, Simon, is like the pain of the unknown, which can be very scary, but you had this intuition inside of you that it just wasn't correct. And also along with the exclusivity with your first, that first gig you had, again, I think the same thing kind of popped up. Do you know this is a quality of yours, or do you like, because I think that's an incredible quality to have that intuition, be like, I need to make a change, I'm going to make it, and then I'm going to go figure it out.
I think this is something that it's like a muscle. So being decisive, I read a book about that, and it's something you can absolutely get better at. Making, a white and black decision. Not staying in a relationship maybe that you're not 100% fulfilled in. Quitting your job and starting to build your dream, just going forward with all of those stuff is actually something you can get better at this for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Todd, it ties into something I learned at the mission I worked in Toledo doing donor development. Our CEO said, people will not change until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change.
Yeah. And
that just stuck with me. And it sounds like that's kind of what you live by, Simon.
Sure. And, I did not do this all by myself. I got amazing people around me, and I just started to listen to podcasts, mindset podcasts on my Spotify. And I just started reading books about that. And it's just a muscle that like everything, your willpower to do something is something you can get better at just by doing more repetition. And it's just going to work out if you stay on it and go through it.
Todd, Simon and I were talking before the show, and he was sharing with me how fitness is an important value to him. And I like how you brought that in, Simon, with, the mindset is it's just a muscle that you exercise, that decisiveness. I like how you tied in the fitness analogy there.
Yeah. So do you want me to go into that?
Let's dive into that. Yeah, the importance of fitness and being a business owner.
Yeah, so just to put you in perspective, a year and a half ago, I was still just a solo photographer and with an editor. And, now I just lost 2 photographers actually, but we're a team of 4. I got our editors, our VA and all that stuff. And I built that business while getting a lot of physics activity. How do you say that?
Physical activity.
Yeah.
So I love to run marathons. I do ultra marathons in mountains. Wow. And last year I did a half Ironman. Then the week after I did a full Ironman down in Maryland. And all of that as well. I bought a house. My wife is just about to give birth to our first little girl in like a week or 2. So it was a pretty crazy year. And when you prioritize your time to doing the right thing, you can do incredible achievements just by managing your time.
Yeah, and investing in yourself physically, which helps your mental game as well. I've noticed when I do actually buckle down and start to take care of myself physically and get the exercise and get the blood flowing and the heart beating, it releases hormones and chemicals that are good for your brain and just give you a much better mental state as well. So if and I've shared this, Todd, before in past episodes. I've dealt with periods of depression or anxiety, and when I start exercising, it does help lift you up out of that. So Simon, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of longevity. And I don't know if you guys heard about the book Outlive. It's a book about, the guy he wants to live to 100 and still be able to, pick up his grandkids, being able to go upstairs and all that stuff. And he's talking about the most important thing to get to that age is actually your VO2 max. It's your capacity to get oxygen to your system. And so exercising is absolutely the best way to do that, to manage that.
Incredible.
Live to 100. I'm hearing Ironman and marathon. I'm just like, good for you. Good for
I'm
you.
thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Running is not my favorite activity.
Yeah, but I don't do it because I like it. I do it because
there we go.
That's great. Yeah.
It's something that I do like every day. I don't do marathons every day. Now I just took a step back because I'm just about to have a baby in my life. But every morning I just do a little 15-minute workout in my gym, and then I go for a run and a little 20-minute run just to get the blood flowing. And I listened to another podcast a couple of weeks ago about a guy that went on the show, and he was talking about when he's got a big decision to make or a call to make, just go to the gym and get the blood flowing and the energy going, and then you make the call. It's going to be a whole different energy that you're going to bring to the game.
For sure. And all of these things are, if you're saying, hey, I could never do that. Like, I'm not a runner either. Again, I'm a very large human being. Like, maybe one day I'll run more, but just start off small. That's the biggest thing. It's just a small step. Simon mentioned 15 minutes. Like, if that seems undoable, just do planks for 3 minutes, do a plank for a minute, or, just start small where you're at. I love the saying around here, and I use it and we chuckle about at the office, but the saying of, how do you eat a whale? Well, you eat a whale just one bite at a time. And that is true with anything you do. If you ever look to say, hey, I'm at the bottom of the mountain, how do I get to the top? And you're like, how do I jump to the top? You're not going to jump to the top. You might have periods in your life where you leap, but most of your life is going to be one foot in front of the other. And then there might be a step back, but most of your life is going to be very just at that pace. And then as you start to add that pace up, you'll begin to leap and you'll find those exponential gains. But it can be just impossible to think, how am I going to do that? If I was going to go train for something like that, like how would I do that? Like I think I would die at mile 3. Like mile 1, I'm going to be complaining more than anybody, and then I'm dead at 3. So it's like, how do you get how many is it? Well, it's 32 miles.
20,
Simon, 26. You probably know kilometers, or 26 miles.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I mean kilometers.
Yeah, kilometers. So, well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Now let me transition a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I know you have so much to give, but let's talk about, you have a natural instinct in you to go and ask for business, to network, to talk to people. We are all about the human-to-human connection, and people will order photos and video from you. They'll buy from people they know, like, and trust. So can you share some insight as to maybe some tips and tricks? I know you have some things with sales, of brokerages. What did you find allowed you to take some of those bigger substantial gains through your client acquisition techniques?
Yeah. So one of my best tricks that I learned in the last year was trying to be like the master to the eye of your client. You got to be the master marketer. So you got to be the master at showing off a house, getting the right angles, and just helping them sell the house faster and make more money. So what I do is I go to realtor congresses, and I just meet with people, and I go to every presentation there is there, and I just take tons of notes, and I build my brokerage presentations based on notes that I took from congresses. And a couple of weeks ago was EXP Con. It was right here in Montreal, so it was cool. A four-day congress. I was there for 4 days straight, and from the first to the last presentation, I try to go there, take notes, and I adjust my presentation based on that. And then that gives me an actual leverage when I go to talk to new people. I just tell them, hey, do you want to have a brokerage presentation? I've learned a ton of stuff in the last years as doing thousands of houses and how to sell, and I can just do this for free. It's just 20 minutes, and I'm going to bring lunch, and we're just going to talk about it and have fun. So that worked really well for me, just being, as a good, an expert marketer, and just, I look like I know everything, but I just learn from others and just speak it to more people. So that's one of the ways that I do brokerage presentations.
So Todd, what's jumped out to me about Simon and him building his business is that there's two things he mentioned. One, very early in his start in this, he invested in coaching. You've talked about coaching.
Yes.
Even when it's financially difficult, the value of that, Simon, you've gained dividends from that. You invested in education. You're going to these conferences, these congresses, and learning, and you're taking time away from your daily shoot activity. So you're not out shooting. And a lot of people might be saying, well, I'm losing money, but you're really not, because you've invested in your education, which then you apply to your presentations at brokerages, which then ultimately gets you more clients, more business.
Yeah, that makes me think of your story, Todd, that you talked about the two lumberjacks. So one of them is just going home and sharpening his axe, and the other guy's like, how'd you cut more wood than I, and you work less? And the guy's just like, I just go home, sharpen, and come back, and it's much easier. So the same thing has to be applied to your business. My calendar is full of the conferences I go. I book them in advance so that I just don't have the choice to go. And these days that I go to these conferences are so packed with knowledge, and it's steps like that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's really a secret weapon. We talked about this a little bit last podcast when Shannon gave her market update. The idea of, we used a term that isn't a common term unless you're a realtor is how many days of inventory do we have right now? And that's a question you could ask an agent. And that means, is it a buyer's market, a seller's market? Is it neutral? But that is a term that you're going to say to a realtor and they're going to look at you like, this person really understands me. And the same thing with Simon. He's going to EXPCon, and there's a ton of conferences out there. And even if you're like, hey, it's EXPCon or KW, the home, whatever they call it, or CB, whatever the Coldwell Bankers Conference is, like it didn't come to my city. Well, take one step down, just join your local board of realtors, MLS, the local organization. It's called something different wherever you're at, but there is an organization where all the realtors go and they get continuing ed and they have conferences, they have different committees, and they have many things that you can get involved with, and you can gain that information right there. Begin to put that in your head, and then you begin thinking like a client. And when you think like your client, that's what allows you to really understand what your client needs because you think like them. So I know when I started, there was many times where I would think like a photographer, and that is good because it's going to make your images creative. But we see this a lot with our new photographers. If we don't give them any training, they go take these creative angles and right, Craig? And they are nothing that you need to sell a house. Like a realtor is going to look at it and go, that's not what I need because that's not how I sell a house. So that is really a key to doing that with learning, with educating. Simon, talk about a little bit, and you briefly mentioned this, but I'm a firm proponent and believer in organizing a calendar. You mentioned you put these things on your calendar. How big of an aspect is organization in your calendar and your day-to-day activities?
Yeah, so building the systems in my company was the absolute foundation of where I am today because, I'm not at the top yet. I'm just saying that from where I was, I'm so much better with my organization, and I love to do stuff and be all over the place because I'm kind of hyperactive. And so having a calendar that is set in advance for me is an absolute must. I would be absolutely lost without my calendar. So I use Google Calendar, and everything is on there. I was talking about life balance the other day. So I got my training is right there every time, and every Wednesday night I have a sacred night that I call. It's just me and my girlfriend, no TVs, no cell phone. We just take time, we read a book together, and we just talk and just grab some time, because if you don't write it down, it's just gonna slip away, and we'll do it tomorrow, and then you just forget about it, and that you just finish by never doing it at all. So having a calendar is the best. And actually, I've been using Spiro for like a year now, and it changed my business. I learned about metrics, and now I look at that every day, and it's just so helpful to see how the analytics of your business is changing throughout the season. It's the best for sure. Yeah, having a system like that.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. Todd, I want to kind of shift gears a little bit with Simon being our first international guest,
yes.
our first real estate media business owner outside of the U.S. I love learning about different cultures, and if I had time, I would try and learn multiple languages. And I'm fascinated by different ways of living throughout the world, and that crosses over into business. Now, Simon, a lot of what you've already talked about today that's common across the board, no matter where in the world we are as real estate media professionals. Business principles are pretty much the same in how we connect with people, how we sell, the media that we're providing. But I'm kind of curious, and I don't know exactly how to phrase the question or know if you can encapsulate this, but what are some of the cultural differences, say between you in Quebec and us in the United States, internationally? What cultural differences have you noticed in business and or the real estate media industry?
Yeah, so there's a couple things for sure. it's still pretty similar because we're still in, North America. But, here in Quebec, there's actually laws to that you got to speak French. Your website needs to be in French. If you do, publicity, it has to be mainly in French, then in English. So there's a couple things like that because there's lots of people that are trying to keep this language alive here, and it's slowly declining. And so that's maybe something that I could talk about. Or there's not many 3D tours here.
Okay.
Not as much as, there's no Zillow. Zillow is not a part of my market. So, I know you guys have 3D tours on Zillow and they get boosted stuff on there. So it's not something that we have here. So there's not many 3D tours. So it's more about pictures, drones, and doing stuff like that. But yeah, and also, sorry, go on. Yeah, but it's something that was not popular, really not popular. So almost every client that I get here don't know about it, or they're barely hearing about it. So it's something that we're bringing to the game. But they love it, and I think it's awesome for sure, and I love to do them. So yeah, I think it's the best, and it's a good added value to them.
Yeah. And do they need to provide measurements, or I believe there's something with standardization of providing size of the home that has to be within a certain accuracy? Is that something that I've heard?
Yeah. So here, Centris is our Zillow. So every property is pretty much on Centris, and you got to have the floor type, things like that, and it's the law to get the measurements as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So another thing that I can talk about, it's on another topic, but winter is hard here. So when winter kicks in, we do a bunch of just exterior listings and stuff like that. And so then when summer comes, it's a super hot summer as well. So the market is always demanding new pictures and remodeling our pictures for the properties that didn't sell. So, yeah.
From a business relationship standpoint, so when I'm a lot of what I do when I'm trying to build relationships in my market with potential clients is I'll take them out to coffee and just get to know them. Relationship building is hugely important. What does that look like in Quebec, versus say Ohio? Even Ohio to New York can be different, Todd, I'm guessing, in how people interact with each other. So when you're building client relationships, Simon, what does that look like for you? How do you best do that?
Well, I don't exactly know how it is in Ohio, to be honest.
He was right.
But, there's conferences everywhere. There's meetings. I just do client acquisition through Instagram, and I send them videos, and I just meet with them sometimes to get a coffee or
so pretty much the same.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same. On every first shoot with a realtor, I try to be the one on site, and then I just talk to them about the culture, who we are, how to use our system, and usually that's how we do it.
Todd, here's a good question, just keying off that. So Simon, you just lost a couple of photographers, but you have other photographers. So this is a common question. I still deal with this today, and I see it all the time in the Facebook groups. Mm-hmm. So when you're out on that first shoot with a new client, with a new realtor, and you're the one that they're used to, and you introduce another photographer, and do you find that they're resistant and they don't want to work with another photographer? They just want to work with you and have you shoot? And if that's the case, how do you handle that as the owner?
So if I feel like the photographer is not bringing up the value as much as I am or better, I'm a bit hard on that. So I did fire photographers in the past, and I try to get like people that are creating an experience, and it's a people business, about that. So you got to be a magnet. People need to like to talk to you. And I think when I introduce new photographers, I really brag about the realtor in front of them and just trying to make them feel super confident about the new guy, and that this person is absolutely how'd you say that? They know everything.
They're amazing.
That this realtor needs and wants. So we just put emphasis on that. And
Yep.
I think that's a great technique and a great thing to do. And kind of the term that I've learned is it's called managing people up. And it's when you would you would talk good about someone in front of a colleague or in front of a client, and it gives them the confidence. Like if you're confident in them and that client is confident in you, it's just psychologically connecting the idea that the client should be confident in your new hire. So, and that can go a long way, not only in the psychological aspect of the client, your agents wanting someone other than you, but it also can go a long way with that photographer of thinking, Simon thinks that about me. Like, and then sometimes just thinking you can do it allows you to do it. Like sometimes we get so down on ourselves. Like my 12-year-old, my oldest son, I think you guys know he plays a ton of basketball. I coach a ton of basketball, and he is a really, really good basketball player, but he is super hard on himself. He works hard. He has the skills. He's put in the work, but he will beat himself up from a psychological standpoint. And it's building him up to think that he can do it. And when he thinks he can do it, he goes out there and he does it at a very high level. And I think that's the same, it's the same with everyone in life. Like if you're beating yourself up, stop. But if you begin managing up your employees, that's going to do so many things from a company standpoint, and it will help you get over that hump of and Craig, I agree with you. We see it all the time. Like, how can someone get someone other than me? And that could be a big gap. And there's some good ways to do it, but being on site, managing your people up, making sure that your agents know what your company's about. If they know you want to grow and you're growing to serve them better, that's way different than like, hey, I don't really want to shoot anymore, and I'm going to try to get some people that do it half as good as me. Like, which one's the agent going to be comfortable with? So, yeah, I love that technique, Simon, of managing those individuals up.
Yeah, you phrased it much better than me, but that's pretty much the idea. And so these individuals are in target cities around where I'm from. So I don't have another photographer in my city. I have one that is an hour away from Drummondville on that side and an hour from that side. So I call it the Golden Triangle. So they are expert in their
market.
And that's how I really put it out to the realtors. And it works real well.
Excellent. Well, Todd, we're kind of getting close to the end of the podcast here. And so, Simon, what we always like to do is ask our guest if there was one parting piece of advice that you would give to listeners and viewers of the podcast, especially those outside of the U.S. I would love for you to speak to others in our industry outside the U.S. What would your best piece of advice be that you would give?
Well, absolutely. Be prepared to fail. It's absolutely part of it, and in every aspect of your life. But in business, it's always repeating that process of not starting over, but getting over things that don't work out, because it's always going to happen as well. So for me, it was pretty hard at first of not giving up on myself and just going all the way, and just try to get 1,000 no's, or 1,000 maybe is a lot. But when I do client acquisition, I love to get no's and just going forward, and it is going to work out for sure if you just stay consistent. It's a lot about consistency in the long term.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
It's a challenge to you, right, Simon? Because it's not no, it's no, not right now. That's a psychological. They tell me, no, okay, no problem. Not right now. I'm going to get you in 3 months, 6 months. I might get you in 12 months. It might be 4 years later, but I'm going to get you. And so you're going back on my list and you'll hear from me again.
Absolutely. And the follow-ups are extremely important. So many times in the past, I just send a message to a realtor as for client acquisition, didn't get a response, and I just dumped it, but you got to do a feedback, follow-up. And there's so much value in those follow-ups, and realtors are busy. They don't always have the time as us business owners. And usually the third or the second or the third follow-up is actually going to work out. And in so many cases, it does.
Yeah, that's so true. The fortunes in the follow-up, that's what I think Shannon, that's a Shannonism. She didn't create it, but the fortune is in the follow-up. So, and think about it. You've laid all that hard work. If you've called with someone 1, 2, 3, 4 times, you've gotten them so much closer to a yes, or you've gotten them closer to a no, but at least you understand where they're at. And maybe you just need one more contact to make that person feel special. Maybe you've learned a new thing at a conference. You can use it as an opening line. Maybe you can call them with your promotion, the new marketing toolkit, whatever it may be. It's a reason to reach out, and that's one step closer to getting a yes.
Absolutely. And sometimes one free shoot is going to get you many more shoots. We did a new record at our business last month, also at 31K, but we're super happy about it. And yes, so much compounding of effort, and we're not done. And we are gonna go all the way with this. And I'm super stoked to be a part of all this community that's here to help. And it brings so much value to have people around.
Yeah. Man, Todd, I love his energy.
I was just going to say, I love his mindset.
Yeah.
And his energy is just incredible. I think it is something for us all to learn from. It's just that mindset. It is so much in our mind. Simon, any books off the top of your head? You talked about books about mindset. Anything come to your mind? I'm using the same word a lot. But if someone's like, hey, what book was it that you read, or where should I start? Do you have a title recommendation?
Sure. So I got a couple for sure. I love to read. I read pretty much every day, only a 50-minute gap, but I get through books through the months. And, right now I'm reading a book that is called The Gap and the Gain. I don't know if you know about that. So it's talking about the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That's the trap. If you look at the gap, you're gonna be depressed. You're gonna be feel down because you're not there yet. But if you look at the gain, which is the other part, where you're from, historically, what have you been through to get where you are? If you think about that, you're gonna be super energized about looking at what you achieved and all the no's that you've been through to get where you are. And it's super powerful to do that.
The Gap and the Gain. Okay. Awesome. Well, Todd, any final questions that you have?
Simon, if someone has a question for you or wants to reach out to you, how could someone get in contact with you?
Sure. Just reach out. I love to help other people and bring value. I actually give free sales teaching in schools here. And that's where the idea came from, to do brokerage presentations and actually gain from being in front of people and giving value. So just reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm super open to talk, and I love to help people.
Awesome. Our guest this week, Simon Caya from Caya Media in Quebec, Canada. Simon, thank you again so much for taking time out of your day and spending it with us here on the Spiro podcast.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Todd, it's been a great week. Good to see you again. And we've got a great episode next week. We're going to be speaking with some realtors and getting their take on what they're looking for in a real estate media partner. So hearing right from our clients what they're looking for, I'm really excited. They're great team of ladies that are very high energy. They're a hoot to shoot for. I love working with them. So it's going to be a fun podcast. So make sure you come back next week for that episode. And Simon, again, thank you so much. It was a pleasure getting to know you and talking to you. And thank you again for making the time.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Simon. I'm all jacked up and energized now. I'm going to go conquer something.
Yeah, there we go. All right, well, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this week on the Spiro podcast. Thanks for making time. We know it's busy season, so the fact that you're spending time to either watch us or listen is not lost on us. We appreciate that. We're humbled by it. Make sure you take time this week to just be thankful. Have that great mindset that Simon talked about this episode. Be thankful for the things that you've been blessed with in your life, and make sure you take some time to breathe. Have a great week. Take care.
Thank you for joining us for the Spiro Podcast, Managing Your Real Estate Photography and Videography Business. This is a production of Spiro and Wow Video Tours. You can find out more about Spiro's real estate media business management software at our website, spiro.media.